My name is Eden. I'm 31 years old and I woke up on my wedding day completely bald. I remember reaching up to touch my hair, expecting to feel the long brown waves that had fallen past my shoulders for as long as I could remember. Instead, my fingers met smooth bare skin. I stumbled to the mirror and what I saw made my knees buckle. The woman staring back at me was a stranger. The night before I had hair. Beautiful hair I'd grown and cared for my entire life. And my own parents took it from me. Before I tell you how I made them tremble, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. If you have ever been betrayed by the people who were supposed to love you most, hit that subscribe button, because what happened next, nobody saw coming. I need to take you back to the beginning so you can understand how I ended up here. How the people who raised me became the people who tried to destroy me on the most important day of my life. I grew up in a quiet suburb just outside Denver, Colorado, the kind of place where neighbors wave at each other and kids ride bikes until the streetlights come on. From the outside, my family looked perfectly normal. My father, Frank, was 58 years old and worked as an electrician. He was the quiet type, always letting my mother take the lead on everything. My mother, Darlene, was 55, working part-time as a sales associate at a department store downtown. Then there were my siblings. My older sister, Paige, was 34, and my younger brother, Cody, was 27. And then there was me, the middle child, the invisible one. Growing up in my family, I learned early on that there was a hierarchy. Paige was the firstborn, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. She was beautiful with her blonde hair and blue eyes, and my mother treated her like a princess. Everything Paige wanted, Paige got. New clothes, new shoes, money for her nails and her hair. My mother used to say that Paige was going to marry rich someday, so she needed to look the part. Then there was Cody, the baby of the family and the only son. In my parents' eyes, that made him special. He was coddled and protected, excused from chores because he was a boy, excused from responsibility because he was the youngest. My father especially doted on him, always talking about how Cody would carry on the family name. And me, I was just there, filling the space between the princess and the prince. Paige was always the pretty one, Cody was always the precious one, and I was just Eden. Not special enough to stand out, not young enough to be babied, just existing in the background of my own family. I remember being 12 years old and coming home with straight A's on my report card. I was so proud, practically bouncing through the door to show my parents. My mother glanced at it, nodded, and said, "That is nice, honey." Then she went back to helping Paige pick out a dress for homecoming. That same week, Cody brought home a C- and my father took him out for ice cream to make him feel better about trying his best. That was my childhood in a nutshell. When I graduated high school, I had earned a full academic scholarship to the University of Colorado. I was the first person in my family to go to college on scholarship. The day I got the acceptance letter, I ran downstairs to tell everyone. My mother barely looked up from her magazine. "Good," she said, "because we could not have afforded it anyway." No congratulations, no celebration, just relief that I would not be a financial burden. I pushed through college on my own, working part-time jobs to cover everything my scholarship did not. I graduated with a degree in accounting and landed a good job at a respected firm in Denver. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was building something for myself, something that had nothing to do with my family's approval. But then my father got hurt. 3 years ago, he had an accident at work, fell off a ladder and injured his back badly. He needed surgery, physical therapy, months of recovery. The medical bills started piling up, and suddenly my family was drowning in debt. I still remember the phone call from my mother. Her voice was shaky, almost humble, which was unusual for her. "Eden," she said, "we do not know what we are going to do. The bills are overwhelming. Your father cannot work. I do not know how we are going to make it." Something in me softened. Despite everything, they were still my parents. I could not just watch them struggle, so I offered to help. I said it would be temporary, just until my father got back on his feet. My mother suggested I move back home to save money. That way, she said, you can help us out with expenses and save on rent at the same time. It will be good for everyone. It made sense at the time, or at least I told myself it did. I moved back into my childhood bedroom and started contributing to the household. The agreement was that I would pay $1,200 a month for rent plus help with groceries and utilities. It seemed reasonable. I was making good money and I wanted to help my family through a difficult time. What I did not realize was that I was walking into a trap. The first few months were fine. My father slowly recovered. My mother seemed grateful. Even Paige and Cody were nicer to me than usual. I thought maybe things had changed. Maybe going through hard times had brought our family closer together. I should have known better. See, here's the thing nobody tells you about being the responsible one in a dysfunctional family. Once you start giving, they never stop taking. And they never ever say thank you. Paige was also living at home during this time. She had moved back after a breakup and was supposedly saving money to get her own place. But unlike me, she was not paying rent. She was not contributing to groceries. She was not helping with anything. When I asked my mother about it, she said Paige is going through a hard time right now. We cannot put more pressure on her. Meanwhile, Cody was given the same pass. He was 24 at the time, but apparently still too young to be expected to contribute. My mother said he needed to save his money for his future, so I was the only one paying, the only one sacrificing, the only one who seemed to notice that something was not right. But I kept quiet, because that is what I had always done. That is who I had always been in this family. The one who does not make waves. The one who just goes along with things to keep the peace. Then I met Marcus. It was 2 years ago on a dating app of all places. His profile picture showed a tall man with kind eyes and a warm smile. His bio said he was a software engineer who loved hiking, cooking, and terrible puns. I swiped right on a whim, never expecting anything to come of it. Our first date was at a coffee shop downtown. He was nervous, which I found endearing. He spilled his latte within the first 5 minutes and spent the rest of the date making jokes about it. By the end of that first meeting, my cheeks hurt from laughing. Marcus was different from anyone I'd ever dated. He came from a loving family. His parents had been married for 35 years and still held hands when they walked together. He had 2 sisters who were his best friends. When he talked about his family, his whole face lit up. He also saw things about my family that I had trained myself to ignore. After dating for a few months, Marcus came to dinner at my parents' house. He watched quietly as my mother fussed over Paige's new haircut while barely acknowledging me. He noticed how my father asked Cody about his weekend plans but did not ask me a single question about my life. He saw Paige roll her eyes when I offered to help clear the dishes. On the drive home, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that stopped me cold. Your family treats you like an ATM, Eden. Not like a daughter. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend them. They are just going through a tough time, I said. Once things get better, it will be different. Marcus did not push, but I could see in his eyes that he did not believe me. And honestly, deep down, neither did I. Still, I kept paying. Kept contributing, kept hoping that someday somehow my family would see my worth. After 2 years together, Marcus proposed. It was a quiet evening at home. He had cooked my favorite meal and put candles everywhere. When he got down on one knee, I burst into tears before he could even finish the question. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone truly chose me. Not because of what I could give them, not because of what I could do for them, but simply because of who I was. I said yes. And I thought this was the beginning of a whole new chapter. I had no idea how right I was, just not in the way I expected. The moment I got engaged, something shifted in my family, and it was not the joyful shift you might expect. I remember calling my mother to share the news. Marcus had just proposed the night before and I was still floating on cloud 9. The ring on my finger felt like a promise of a new life, a new family, a fresh start. Mom, I said when she picked up, I have amazing news. Marcus proposed. I am getting married. There was a pause, a long one. When my mother finally spoke, her voice was flat. Oh, well, that is sudden, is it not? We have been together 2 years, I said, my excitement already deflating. It is not sudden at all. I just hope you know what you are getting into, she said. Marriage is a big commitment. Are you sure you are ready for that? No congratulations. No excitement. No warmth. Over the next few days, the responses from the rest of my family were equally underwhelming. Paige asked if I was sure I was not rushing things. Cody questioned whether Marcus was financially stable. My father just grunted and went back to watching television. Looking back now, I understand what was really happening. They were not worried about me. They were worried about losing their cash cow. But at the time, I pushed those thoughts aside. I told myself they would come around once they saw how happy I was. Then came the night that changed everything. It was about 6 months before the wedding. I was working late at the office finishing up some quarterly reports. My phone was on my desk and I heard it buzz with an incoming call. I glanced at the screen and saw Paige's name. That was strange. Paige almost never called me. We texted occasionally, but actual phone calls were rare. I picked up immediately, worried something might be wrong. Hello, Paige. There was no response. Just muffled noise in the background, voices distant but audible. I was about to hang up, assuming she had accidentally dialed me, when I heard my mother's voice. Eden's rent money has been so helpful. She does not even question the amount. I froze. My finger hovered over the end call button, but something made me keep listening. Paige laughed. Her voice was clearer now, like she was standing closer to wherever the phone was. She is so clueless. Does she know you raised it by $250 last month? My stomach dropped. Of course not, my mother said. I just told her utilities went up. She believed it immediately. $250. My mother had told me there was an increase due to rising utility costs. I had not questioned it for even a second. Why would I? She was my mother. Must be nice to have a sister who just hands over cash. Cody's voice chimed in. He sounded amused, entertained by my ignorance. The best part is she thinks she is being a good daughter. That was Paige again, her tone dripping with mockery. She actually believes she is helping. Well, someone has to pay for things around here. My mother's voice was matter of fact. No guilt, no shame. I stood in my empty office, phone pressed to my ear, feeling like the ground was crumbling beneath my feet. Speaking of which, Paige continued, when is she moving out? Marcus makes good money. Once they are married, we lose our cash cow. Cash cow. The words hit me like a physical blow. That is what I was to them. Not a daughter, not a sister, an ATM. A source of income, nothing more. That is what I am worried about, my mother said with a sigh. Maybe we can convince her to keep contributing after the wedding. Tell her we still need help. Make her feel guilty. Just guilt trip her, Cody said casually. Works every time. And then they laughed. All three of them. Laughing at me. Laughing at how easy I was to manipulate. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. I wanted to call them back and demand an explanation. But I did not do any of those things. Instead, I kept listening. I still cannot believe she is getting married before me. Paige's voice had turned bitter. Her of all people. My mother made a sympathetic sound. Marcus must really be desperate. Desperate, that is what they thought. That no one would want me unless they were desperate. Honestly, what does he see in her? Paige asked. She is so plain. Maybe he is after her money, Cody suggested with a laugh. The irony, my mother said. The plain one gets married first. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I heard footsteps in the background, someone moving around. Then the call went silent. The line disconnected. I sat down slowly in my office chair. My legs would not hold me anymore. I do not know how long I stayed there. It could have been minutes, it could have been hours. I just sat in the dark, replaying every word over and over in my mind. Cash cow. Clueless, plain, desperate. Is that really how they saw me? Is that who I was to them? That night I drove home in a daze. When I walked through the front door, my mother was in the kitchen making tea. She looked up and smiled at me. How was work, honey? The same smile she always gave me. The same warm tone. But now I saw it for what it was. A mask. Fine, I said. My voice did not shake. My face did not betray me. I'd spent my whole life learning how to hide my feelings in this house. That skill served me well now. I went upstairs to my room and locked the door. I did not cry. I was too shocked to cry. Instead, I made a decision. I would not confront them. Not yet. I would watch. I would document. I would gather every piece of evidence I could. And when the time was right, I would make my move. They thought I was clueless. They thought I would never notice. They were wrong. I noticed everything. Over the following weeks, I transformed into a silent detective in my own home. I started keeping meticulous records of every dollar I'd contributed to the household since moving back. I went through bank statements, receipts, credit card records. What I found made me sick. In 3 years, I had paid $43,200 in rent alone, $1,200 a month for 36 months. But when I did some research, I discovered something that shattered any remaining illusions I had about my family's honesty. The house was paid off. My parents had finished paying the mortgage over 10 years ago. There was no rent to pay. The only housing expense was property tax, which amounted to roughly $3,000 per year. I had been paying 14 times that amount. For nothing. But it did not stop there. I calculated the groceries I had bought, the utilities I had covered, the random emergencies that seemed to pop up every few months. A broken furnace that needed $2,000 to fix. Car repairs totaling $1,500. Money that Cody supposedly needed for his apartment. Except Cody did not have an apartment. He lived at home. He had always lived at home. I called a furnace repair company in town, pretending to follow up on a service call. They had no record of any work done at my parents' address. Every emergency had been a lie. Every extra expense had been fabricated. When I tallied everything up, the total came to nearly $70,000 over 3 years. $70,000 I had given to a family that laughed at me behind my back. Where had all that money gone? The answer was not hard to find. I started paying closer attention to my mother and Paige's social media accounts. Designer handbags appeared in Paige's photos, spa days and fancy brunches with my mother, new jewelry, expensive highlights in Paige's hair. I came home one day to find a receipt on the kitchen counter. My mother had paid for a $300 facial treatment for herself and Paige. A girl's day, the receipt said, paid for with my money. Meanwhile, I was wearing clothes from 3 years ago and packing my lunch every day to save money. I thought I was helping my family survive. Instead, I was funding their lifestyle while they mocked me for being gullible. The wedding planning made everything worse. When I announced my engagement, my family's reaction had been lukewarm at best. But over time, something shifted. Suddenly, Paige wanted to be involved. Very involved. "You should let me be your maid of honor," she said one evening. "We are sisters. It is tradition." I agreed, even though every instinct told me not to. I was still playing the part of the clueless daughter, the one who did not suspect anything. But I watched, and I waited. Sure enough, strange things started happening with the wedding vendors. First, the florist called me to confirm that I wanted to switch to a cheaper flower arrangement. I had not requested any changes. When I asked who had called, she described someone matching Paige's description. She said she was calling on behalf of the bride, the florist told me. She said you wanted to cut costs, then the venue called. Apparently someone had requested a reduction in the guest count. They wanted to make sure I was aware before they adjusted the contract. I called Marcus that night, my voice tight with barely contained fury. "She is sabotaging the wedding," I said. "Paige is trying to ruin everything." We fixed the florist issue and the venue issue. I told the vendors to only accept changes directly from me or Marcus, no one else. But I did not confront Paige. Not yet. Instead, I made a quiet change of my own. I asked my best friend Simone to be my real maid of honor. She would handle all the important responsibilities. Paige would still have the title, but Simone would be the one I actually trusted. It was around this time that I started putting together an escape plan. I opened a new bank account that my family did not know about. I started funneling money into it. I began looking at apartments near Marcus's place. I made copies of all my important documents and stored them at Simone's house. I was preparing to leave. But I needed to do it on my terms, at the right time. What I did not know was that my family was making plans of their own, and their plan was far more sinister than anything I could have imagined. The rehearsal dinner was held on a Friday evening, the night before my wedding. We had booked a small Italian restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy, just good food and the people we loved most. Marcus's family drove in from Wyoming for the occasion, his parents, his 2 sisters, their spouses and children. They filled one side of the restaurant with warmth and laughter. My family sat on the other side, quiet, stiff. My mother picked at her food and made passive-aggressive comments about the pasta being overcooked. My father nursed his drink and barely spoke to anyone. Cody scrolled through his phone for most of the evening. And Paige showed up wearing white, a white dress, to a rehearsal dinner. Anyone who knows anything about wedding etiquette knows that you do not wear white to wedding events. That color is reserved for the bride. I saw Marcus's mother notice immediately. Her eyes widened slightly, then she looked at me with a sympathy that made my chest ache. Marcus leaned close to whisper in my ear. "Is she serious right now?" I forced a smile. "It does not matter. Tomorrow is our day. Nothing they do tonight can change that," but inside I was counting the hours until I could get away from them. The dinner passed in a blur of forced conversations and awkward silences. Marcus's parents tried their best to include my family in discussions, but they were met with one-word answers and cold politeness. At one point, Marcus's mother took my hands in hers. "Welcome to the family, sweetheart," she said. "We are so happy Marcus found you." I had to blink back tears. This was what family was supposed to feel like. When the dinner ended, Marcus walked me to my car. His forehead was creased with worry. "Are you sure you want to stay at your parents' house tonight?" he asked. "You can come back to my place. Or stay with Simone." Anything but going back there. The original plan had been for me to stay at a hotel near the venue, but my mother had called the week before, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "This is your last night as a single woman," she had said. "Stay home with us. Let me make you breakfast tomorrow morning. One last time before you become a married woman." Against my better judgment, I'd agreed. Part of me still wanted to believe she meant it, that somewhere underneath all the manipulation she actually cared about me. "I will be fine," I told Marcus. "You will pick me up at 9 tomorrow. Then I never have to sleep under that roof again." He kissed me gently. "If anything feels wrong, call me. I do not care what time it is. I will come get you." I promised I would. If only I had known what was waiting for me. When I got home, the house was quiet. My father had gone to bed. Cody was in his room playing video games. Paige was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone. My mother was in the kitchen. "There you are," she said when I walked in. "I made chamomile tea to help you sleep. Big day tomorrow." She held out a steaming mug. Her smile was warm, maternal. I took the mug from her hands. The ceramic was hot against my palms. The tea smelled sweet, slightly floral. "Thank you," I said. She watched me lift the mug toward my lips. There was something in her eyes, an anticipation I could not quite place. Call it instinct. Call it paranoia. Call it the culmination of everything I had learned over the past 6 months. Something told me not to drink that tea. I pretended to take a sip, made a show of swallowing. "This is perfect," I said. "Just what I needed." My mother's shoulders relaxed almost imperceptibly. "Good. Now get some rest. You want to look beautiful tomorrow." I took the mug upstairs with me, making sure she saw me drinking from it. Once I was in my room, I locked the door. Then I went to the bathroom and poured the entire contents of the mug into the toilet. I watched the pale liquid swirl down the drain and felt a chill run down my spine. What had been in that tea? I turned off the lights and got into bed, but I did not sleep. I lay there in the darkness with my eyes wide open, every sense on high alert. Around midnight, I heard voices in the hallway, whispers, footsteps. I crept to my door and pressed my ear against the wood. "Is she asleep yet?" My mother's voice. "Give it another 30 minutes. That sleeping pill should knock her out, Paige. Sleeping pill." They had drugged my tea. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure they could hear it through the door. "Are you sure about this?" Cody sounded nervous. "This is pretty messed up. She deserves it." Paige's voice was cold, hard, walking around like she is better than us just because she is getting married. "Once we shave her head, she will be too embarrassed to go through with the wedding." My mother spoke matter-of-factly, like they were discussing the weather. "And then everything goes back to normal," Paige added. "She stays here, keeps paying, and Marcus leaves." They were planning to shave my head, to humiliate me so badly that I would cancel my own wedding. I stumbled back from the door, my legs threatening to give out. I grabbed my phone and texted Marcus with shaking hands. "They drugged my tea. They are planning to shave my head while I sleep. I need you to trust me. Whatever happens tomorrow, trust me." His response came immediately. "What? I am coming to get you right now." "No," I typed back. "If you come, they will know I heard. I have another plan. Just trust me." There was a long pause. Then, "I trust you. But Eden, please be careful. I love you." "I love you too," I wrote back. "See you tomorrow." Then I texted Simone and told her everything. Her response was immediate and fierce. "I am bringing backup tomorrow. We have got you covered. These people are going to regret this." I put my phone away and got back into bed. I lay perfectly still, controlling my breathing, making it slow and deep, pretending to be unconscious. I heard my door open. Soft footsteps crossed the room. Someone leaned over me and I caught the scent of my mother's perfume. "She is out cold." My mother's whisper. More footsteps. The click of something being plugged in. A low buzzing sound that I recognized immediately. Hair clippers. A hand touched my head, fingers ran through my hair one last time. Then the buzzing grew louder as the clippers made contact with my scalp. I kept my eyes closed. I did not flinch. I did not cry out. I let them do it. I let them shave every single strand of hair from my head while I lay there pretending to be unconscious. Because I knew something they did not. This was not the end of my story. This was the beginning of theirs. I did not sleep that night. After they finished and left my room, I lay in the darkness for hours. My head felt strange, light, cold. I could feel the air against my bare scalp in a way I had never experienced before. When dawn finally came, pale gray light filtering through my curtains, I forced myself to get out of bed. I walked to the mirror. The woman staring back at me was unrecognizable. My long brown hair, the hair I'd grown and cared for my entire life, was gone. In its place was smooth bare skin. Patches of stubble where the clippers had not been thorough. I looked like a cancer patient, like someone who had been violated, because I had been. I touched my scalp with trembling fingers. It was real. This was really happening. For a moment I let the grief wash over me. I let myself feel the full weight of what had been done. My own mother, my own sister, my own brother. They had drugged me and shaved my head while I slept, on the night before my wedding. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. I wanted to storm downstairs and confront them with all the rage burning inside me. But I did not. Instead, I took a deep breath. Then another, then another. They wanted to break me. They failed. I washed my face. I put on my robe. I looked at myself one more time in the mirror. They expected me to crumble. They expected me to cry and hide and cancel everything. They did not know me at all. I walked downstairs. My mother was in the kitchen standing at the stove making pancakes like it was any other morning. She turned when she heard me enter and her face transformed into an expression of perfect shock. Oh my God. She brought her hands to her mouth. Eden, what happened to your hair? I watched her performance with detached fascination. She was good. Years of practice, I supposed. Paige came running down the stairs already dressed for the day. She stopped at the bottom and gasped loudly. Who did this to you? This is horrible. Cody shuffled in from the living room. He looked at me, then quickly looked away. His acting was not as convincing as the others. My father appeared last. He stood in the doorway, face blank, refusing to meet my eyes. He knew. They all knew. And they thought I did not. We need to call the police, my mother said. Someone broke in. Someone attacked you. We should cancel the wedding, Paige added quickly. You cannot go out there looking like this. Everyone will stare. You will be humiliated. There it was. The goal of their entire scheme. Cancel the wedding. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, bald and exposed, and I smiled. Cancel, no. The wedding is happening. My mother blinked. But sweetheart, your hair. Hair grows back, I said. My dignity does not need hair to exist. I saw the confusion flash across their faces. This was not how I was supposed to react. I was supposed to be devastated. Broken. Begging them to hide me from the world. Instead, I was calm. Collected. Almost serene. I am going to get ready, I said. Marcus will be here at 9. I turned and walked back upstairs, leaving them standing in stunned silence. In my room, I called Marcus. It happened, I told him. They did it. I heard him exhale sharply. Eden, I am so sorry. Are you okay? Strangely, I am. I looked at myself in the mirror again. They thought this would destroy me. They were wrong. I love you, he said. I love you so much. I will be there soon. He arrived at exactly 9 and he was not alone. Simone was with him carrying a large box and wearing an expression of fierce determination. Marcus's face when he saw me was something I will never forget. His eyes filled with tears. Not tears of pity or disappointment, tears of anger, of protectiveness, of love. He pulled me into his arms without saying a word. He held me for a long time. Those monsters, he finally whispered. Those absolute monsters. Simone set down her box and joined the hug. When she pulled back, her eyes were blazing. I stayed up all night, she said. I called in every favor I had. She opened the box. Look what we have got. Inside was a collection of the most beautiful headpieces I had ever seen. Tiaras with crystals that caught the light, delicate gold chains designed to drape across a bare scalp, and the most exquisite veil, long and flowing, attached to a gorgeous pearl-encrusted headband. Bald is beautiful, Simone said, and we are going to make you the most stunning bride anyone has ever seen. Marcus took my hands. Are you sure you want to do this today? We can postpone. No one would blame you. I looked at him, at Simone, at the beautiful things they had gathered for me, at the love shining in their eyes. No, I said. They wanted to take this day from me. I will not let them. We left for the venue without saying goodbye to my family. The makeup artist Marcus had called the night before was already waiting when we arrived. She took one look at me and her professional demeanor softened. We are going to make you shine, she said. Trust me, and she did. She painted my eyes with a dramatic smoky look that made them appear larger and more striking than ever. Deep burgundy lips that demanded attention, highlighter along my cheekbones that caught every ray of light. Simone carefully placed the pearl headband on my bare scalp. The veil cascaded down my back like a waterfall. The tiara sat perfectly, adding height and elegance. When I looked in the mirror, I did not see a victim. I did not see someone who had been attacked. I saw a queen. I am not a victim, I said to my reflection. I am a survivor. Simone squeezed my shoulder. You are so much more than that. You are a warrior. It was time for the ceremony. The ceremony was held in a converted barn venue about 30 minutes outside the city. Rustic wooden beams, string lights everywhere, tall windows letting in the afternoon sun. Marcus and I had chosen it together because it felt warm and intimate. When I arrived, I could see guests gathering inside through the windows. Marcus's family, our friends, co-workers. Everyone we loved. And my family. They were already seated in the front row, my mother in a blue dress dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Paige beside her looking smug, Cody slouched in his chair, my father staring straight ahead. They still thought they had won. They thought I would either not show up or show up broken and defeated. Either way, they believed the wedding would be ruined. I took a deep breath and nodded to Simone. She opened the doors. The music began. A soft acoustic version of a song Marcus and I both loved. I stepped into the doorway. Every head in the room turned toward me. For a moment there was silence. I saw the shock on faces, the confusion, my mother's theatrical gasp, Paige's jaw literally dropping. Then someone started clapping. It was Marcus's mother. She stood up, tears streaming down her face, and began to applaud. His father joined her. His sisters. One by one the room rose to its feet. I walked down that aisle with my head held high, my scalp bare, my crown sparkling, my heart pounding. I looked at my family as I passed their row. My mother had frozen mid-sob, tissue still pressed to her face. Paige's smugness had melted into something closer to fear. Cody would not look at me. My father's face had gone pale. They were beginning to understand. Something had not gone according to plan. When I reached the altar, Marcus was waiting for me. His eyes were wet, but he was smiling. The biggest, proudest smile I'd ever seen. "You are the most beautiful woman in the world," he whispered. The officiant began the ceremony. She spoke about love and commitment, about weathering storms and finding strength in each other. Every word felt like it was written just for us. Then it was time for the vows. Marcus went first. He held both my hands in his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Eden," he said, "I vow to love you in sickness and in health, with hair and without, in good times and in terrible ones. You are the strongest person I have ever known, and I am honored to be your husband. I vow to protect you, to cherish you, and to remind you every single day that you are enough, more than enough. You are everything." I was crying by the time he finished. Happy tears, healing tears. Then it was my turn. "Marcus," I said, "I vow to love you with all of me, even the broken parts, especially the broken parts. You saw me when no one else did. You chose me when the world told me I was not worth choosing. I choose you back, today, tomorrow, forever. I promise to be your partner, your best friend, and your biggest fan. I promise to laugh with you, cry with you, and build a life with you that makes us both proud." The officiant smiled. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Marcus kissed me like we were the only two people in the world, and in that moment we were. The room erupted in applause. I was married. Despite everything they had done, I was married, but the day was not over yet. The reception began an hour later in the same venue, tables decorated with wildflowers, a string quartet playing softly, food that smelled incredible. After dinner, Simone stood up and tapped her glass. Before I give my toast, she announced the bride has something she would like to say. I had not told Marcus about this part. He looked at me with confusion and concern as I rose from my seat. "Thank you all for being here today," I began. "I know some of you are wondering about my new look." Nervous laughter rippled through the room. Let me tell you a story. I started from the beginning. The accidental phone call. Cash cow. Clueless. The raised rent for a house that was already paid off. The fabricated emergencies. The $70,000 I had unknowingly given to people who mocked me behind my back. The room grew silent. I saw guests exchanging horrified glances. Marcus's mother pressed her hand to her heart. Then I told them about last night. The drug tea, the whispered plans, the buzzing of the clippers against my scalp. They wanted to humiliate me, I said. They wanted to stop this wedding. They wanted me to stay home, keep paying their bills, keep being their doormat. I looked directly at my family. My mother's face had gone white. Paige looked like she might be sick. Cody had slumped so low in his chair he was practically under the table. "But here's the thing about shaving someone's head," I continued. "You can take away the hair, but you cannot take away the person underneath." My mother stood abruptly. "Eden, you are lying. You are making this up for attention." Simone was ready. She pressed a button on her phone and the large screen behind the head table flickered to life. It was security camera footage from my parents' house. Marcus had helped me access it through the home security app the night before. The room watched in horrified silence as the video showed my mother, Paige, and Cody entering my bedroom at 2 a.m. They watched Paige turn on the clippers. They watched my mother hold my head. They watched them systematically remove every strand of my hair while I lay unconscious. There were audible gasps. Someone swore loudly. My mother sank back into her chair, her face ashen. "I did not share this for revenge," I said. "I shared this so, you know. I see you. I know what you did, and I am done." I looked at my family one last time. "From today I am no longer your ATM. I am no longer your punching bag. I am no longer invisible. I am Eden. I am a wife. I am whole, and I am free." The room was silent for a beat. Then Marcus's father started clapping. One person joined, then another, then the entire room was on their feet applauding. I watched as my family gathered their things. My mother was crying real tears now. Paige looked shell-shocked. Cody practically ran for the exit. My father paused at the door. For a moment I thought he might say something, an apology, an explanation, anything, but he just shook his head and walked out. They left in silence without a single word of defense or remorse, and for the first time in my life I did not care. Marcus pulled me close. "I am so proud of you," he whispered. The rest of the reception was perfect. We danced, we laughed, we celebrated with people who actually loved us. When the night finally ended and Marcus and I drove away in our decorated car, I looked at my reflection in the window. Bald, glowing, happy. They wanted to destroy me, instead they set me free. The aftermath of that wedding spread further than I ever anticipated. Someone at the reception had recorded my speech and the security footage. Within days it was everywhere. News outlets picked it up. Social media exploded. Strangers from around the world reached out with messages of support. My family could not hide from the fallout. My mother was let go from her job. Her employer said they could not be associated with someone involved in such a scandal. Paige's friends distanced themselves. The carefully curated social media presence she had built crumbled as people unfolded and blocked her. Cody, for the first time in his life, had to face actual consequences. No one was there to bail him out anymore. A few weeks after the wedding, my father called me. His voice sounded tired, old. "I am sorry," he said. "I should have stopped them. I knew it was wrong and I did nothing." I listened to his apology. I let him finish. "You are right," I said. "You should have, but you did not. Goodbye, Dad." I hung up. It was the last time we spoke. Marcus and I honeymooned in Costa Rica, 2 weeks of sunshine, rainforests, and peace. For the first time in my life, I understood what it felt like to be truly free. No phone calls asking for money, no guilt trips, no feeling like I owed anyone anything. I walked on the beach at sunset, feeling the warm breeze against my bare scalp, and I cried. Not from sadness, from relief, from the overwhelming realization that I had survived. When we returned home, we started building our new life together. We found a beautiful apartment in a quiet neighborhood. I continued working at my accounting firm. Marcus got a promotion at his company. We adopted a rescue dog named Biscuit, who became the light of our lives. Marcus's family embraced me completely. His mother taught me her family recipes. His father called me his daughter without hesitation. His sisters became the siblings I never really had. I learned what it meant to have a family that loved you without conditions, without manipulation, without keeping score. About 3 months after the wedding, I started therapy. I needed to process everything, the years of feeling invisible, the betrayal, the trauma of that night. My therapist helped me understand that none of it was my fault. The way my family treated me said everything about them and nothing about me. I had spent my whole life trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I had contorted myself to fit into a space that was never meant for me. She taught me how to set boundaries, how to say no without guilt, how to recognize manipulation before it took hold. Slowly, I began to heal. My hair started growing back, first as soft fuzz, then as short curls, then as the beginning of something new. But I made a decision that surprised even me. I kept it short, not because I was ashamed, not because I was hiding, but because every time I looked in the mirror, I wanted to remember. I wanted to remember the night I chose myself, the morning I walked down that aisle, the moment I finally broke free. My short hair became my badge of honor, a reminder that I survived, that I chose myself when no one else would. A year after the wedding, I found out I was pregnant. I sat on the bathroom floor with the positive test in my hands, crying tears of joy. Marcus burst in when he heard me sobbing, terrified something was wrong. When I showed him the test, he dropped to his knees beside me and held me like I was the most precious thing in the world. In that moment, I made a silent promise to our child. A promise I've kept every single day since. I will never make you feel invisible. I will never make you earn my love. You are wanted. You are enough. You are everything. Our daughter was born 8 months later. We named her Grace. She has Marcus's eyes and my stubborn streak. She laughs at everything and cries at nothing. She is perfect in every possible way. When I hold her, I think about my own mother. I think about how she saw me as a resource to be exploited rather than a child to be cherished. I think about the coldness behind her smiles, the calculations behind every kind word. I will never be that mother. I will never let my daughter feel the way I felt. That is my promise. That is my purpose. Looking back now, I realize that text message, that accidental phone call, was a gift in disguise. It forced me to see my family for who they really were. It forced me to confront the truth I had been avoiding my whole life. It forced me to stand up for myself and for the people I loved. I learned that family is not always about blood. DNA does not equal loyalty. The people who share your genes are not automatically entitled to your love, your money, or your energy. Real family are the people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. The people who celebrate your successes instead of sabotaging them. The people who love you not for what you can give them, but simply for who you are. I found that family with Marcus, with his parents and sisters, with Simone and the friends who stood by me when everything fell apart. I do not carry anger toward my mother, Paige, and Cody anymore. For a long time I did. The rage would keep me up at night. The injustice of it all made me want to scream. But holding on to that anger was like drinking poison and expecting them to get sick. It was hurting me, not them. So I let it go. Not because they deserved forgiveness, not because what they did was okay, but because I deserved peace. I deserved to move forward without the weight of their cruelty dragging me down. Their greed cost them a relationship with the woman who loved them despite everything. Their cruelty cost them the chance to know their granddaughter, their niece. Their choices cost them a family. That is punishment enough. My bald head on my wedding day was supposed to be my shame. Instead, it became my crown. The moment they tried to break me became the moment I finally found my strength. If you are watching this and you are in a similar situation, I want you to know something. Your worth is not determined by people who cannot see it. The opinions of those who mistreat you do not define who you are. Their cruelty says everything about them and nothing about you. Stand your ground. Document everything. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Build a support system of people who actually care about you. And when the time is right, walk away. It will be hard. It will hurt. There will be days when you question everything, but on the other side of that pain is freedom. Real, genuine, soul-deep freedom. I am living proof of that. So to anyone who has ever been made to feel small by the people who should have protected, you know this. You are not small. You are not invisible. You are not worthless. You are not defined by how they see you. You are simply surrounded by the wrong people, and that, my friend, can change. Starting today. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to cut toxic people out of your life, even family members? How did you find the strength to do it? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel for more stories of strength and survival, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this community. I wish you strength. I wish you peace. And most importantly, I wish you the courage to choose yourself. Until next time, take care of yourself. You are worth it. You always have been.